What's your self-talk? Thank you for being here again. Once again, every Tuesday I'm coming to you at 7:45, asking you that really important question. What's your self-talk? And for those of you who don't know, what's your self-talk is simply a question that I ask you to ask yourself and see what are you really choosing? Are you choosing to be growth minded and grow yourself and develop into the person you want to be, or you want to be fixed? You want to be this person that you want to be stuck and stay where you are. You want to be this person who have the positive thoughts and then acting on them, or do you want to be a person who has the negative thoughts who act on them? So every time I ask what's your self-talk, I want you to think about you in relation to a lot of different areas. Now, specifically, what we are talking about, we are continuing our How to Be a Successful Entrepreneur series. And so we've walked through a numerous of great things. So I want you to go back and be able to look over just the last two episodes. We dive deep inside of this book that I'm actually reading through, and I actually just completed. So it's actually Onyx Ago. So you see Escape. Escape, it tells you the 4 stages of becoming a self-entrepreneur. And he's done a great job at just really dissecting, just telling his personal story. For those who don't know, Onyx Ago, he actually have a online platform, which is learn.com. Have a lot of great free courses where you can be able to learn more about how to grow as an entrepreneur. But he has had a lot of success. Now I've had a chance to be able to be part of his mastermind class and start to learn directly from him and start to share with you just some of the stuff that I'm learning, and specifically things I've learned from this book. So just to bring you back. So that's what I've been talking about in this on how to be a successful entrepreneur, and how I want to continue to give you information so you can understand, how do I grow? How do I get over this hump? Okay. So if you have been paying attention to what I've asked, I've had this chart up. And this chart maybe look something like this. Now, when you look at that chart was in one of the sections in the book. I think it was in stage 3, and stage 3 is, I believe it's people. Now, the book itself have 4 stages on how to become a successful entrepreneur, and they talk about how to go from an employee to an entrepreneur. And you have to, embrace that mindset, and you have to understand the thing that you need to change. And he talk about self, catapult, people, no, I'm sorry, self, catapult, authority, and people. Now, I believe this was in 3 when you have an authority. And when it comes to being an authority figure, you have to be willing to make a decision. So, when I pulled up this chart, I thought it was interesting for a lot of reasons. One, look at that. So, when we all have opportunities that arise, we now have a problem. Now, all problems are not bad, so let's take that into consideration. When I see this, I'm like, well, if a problem's a bad thing, it's a good thing. A problem is just a problem. Now, it's what you do after you realize, okay, the opportunity comes, so it's a problem because something needs to change. Something needs to happen. So therefore, that leads you to a choice. So you have opportunity plus problem, and a choice means that a decision is needed. That means because of whatever opportunity is arise and a problem, it needs to come to a choice. So, if I drive into Walmart and I don't see any parking and I get frustrated, I can do one or two things. I can decide to continue to go around and find a parking space, or I can leave. All right. So the opportunity was simple. I'm driving into the parking lot. The problem is I can't find a parking space, and I don't feel I have to get in and out. And a choice: either I leave or I take more time out to find a parking space. So just a simple example to kind of help you understand how that works. So decision is needed. So I left, right, or I stayed. So do you accept that decision? And so at that time, you get into this analysis, right? And you start to do what I think is very important. You start to ask yourself, what is this a good thing? Or start researching. You start to find answers, try to figure out, what do I need to do? And then you get that first hunch, that most, what he calls is that gut instinct. At that time, he tells you, make a decision, go for it. And I'm gonna teach you a little bit more in a minute. But I want to go back into that first hunch. You see what it says when you second guess. What happened when you second guess yourself? Well, you start to overanalyze. And then you get to that, then you start analyzing, you start looking up more. So you're like, well, let me look into this a little bit more. And then you get that hunch to want to do something, then you second guess yourself again. And then you start to overanalyze. And then what happened? Now, this cycle you start to go through. You start to question yourself. You start to doubt yourself, which leads me to our first point. So what happens when you stay in that state of mind? Well, you get to analysis paralysis. Now, analysis paralysis is when you just sit there and you are so indecisive that you do absolutely nothing. Now, this is be honest. Have you done this before? Trust me, I have. When it came to investing more in myself or investing in equipment to make sure that I'm bringing you more and better high quality streams every Tuesday, I asked myself, well, I don't know if I should do that. So I started looking and started researching, and then I started asking, I said, you know what? It's people that need to hear this message and hear people I want to encourage. So guess what? I had to go for it and make it happen. And so I think we do this all the time. We get stuck as an entrepreneur, and even our personal life, but as an entrepreneur, we get in this analysis paralysis because we want to research it. We want to ask this person, we want to ask this person, we ask that person. Here's what's have to happen. After a while, you have to make a choice. I never forget when me and my wife, we are in business together and we do real estate investing. And oh my gosh, it was so difficult for me to be able to decide, like, oh man, okay, so what if somebody calls about a broken toilet? What if somebody calls about this? What about I call about that? So, and I start analyzing, like I start looking up information. I would read books. I would do everything. And then after a while, I start asking myself, I'm like, a choice needs to be made. And then after I made that choice, it was not until the end of the year, because we started at the beginning of the year. So at the end of the year, I look back, I'm like, man, I was glad I made that choice. But in the midst of it, even after doing all the research, after doing everything that I need to do, guess what? It was a great decision and I learned a lot. So, which leads to a second point that I wanted to point out. But what if you feel you make the wrong decision? Now, you have to start viewing what is determined as the wrong decision. So, going back to the example of when we invested in real estate, nothing we did was wrong as far as taking action and committing to our long-term goal. But we start finding out, man, we should do this right, we should do this, we should do this. And my mentor told me something. He said the greatest knowledge you can have is learning from your own mistakes. And then guess what? Moving forward. People I work with, he said, it's choices and their consequences. That's it. So if you make the wrong decision, make it fast so that you can go and make the right decision faster. Because as one thing you realize when you're an entrepreneur, I talked about this earlier, you have to make a decision, and you have to make a decision quick because things need to happen. But what you have to realize is that if you made a mistake or something go right, quickly, don't dwell on it. Ask yourself, okay, what needs to happen? Well, I need to change this around and we need to keep moving forward, right? Because the goal is not to start someone do something and give up. The goal is to get to that end result. And you're not going to always make perfect decisions. So you have to be able to understand that it is okay that you're going to make the wrong decision. But you have to understand, don't dwell on it. That's what happens so much as an entrepreneur. And I've done this so many times. Is if you dwell on it, you dwell on making that wrong decision, then guess what? You think like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm out. I'm done. And that's not the results you want. So stop selling for less. So we have analysis paralysis. What happens when you just sit there and like, okay, I'm so indecisive, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then what leads you to, well, if I make the wrong decision? Which leads me to the last, but definitely not least, is why it is so important when you come to being a self-entrepreneur is you have to take calculated risk-taking. Calculated risk-taking is part of an entrepreneur, and understanding how to be a calculated risk taker. You must see yourself as this person who understand that it's going to be risk involved. Guess what? It's risk involved in going live right now. Something can happen, something's gonna shut down, something go wrong. Uh, it's always going to be risk involved. You know, you want to work out, you want to make yourself better, but guess what? You could hurt yourself. But but you don't focus on all the bad things that's gonna happen. You take that in consideration. You weigh those things, but you ask yourself, what are the results that I really want? And then ask yourself, okay, let me make sure I do the diligent research and find all the correct answers. Let me look into people who have done what I've done, who is doing what I'm doing, and allow me to make a wise decision. Okay, so let's recap: How to Be a Successful Entrepreneur, Series 3. So analysis paralysis. Do not get yourself so stuck in being indecisive that you don't make a decision. And guess what? What if you make a wrong decision? Make that decision, make a wrong decision, accept it, and move forward. And learn from that. Do not dwell on what you did wrong. Don't repeat that again. That's where we mess up. It is okay to make the wrong decision. What it is not okay is to repeat that wrong decision over and over and over, and then to dwell on that and don't move past that. That is the problem. And then last but not least, calculated risk taking. Calculated risk taking is you saying, okay, I understand that I need to do my diligence and I need to make sure I understand what I'm getting into, because it's not me not willing to do the work. It's just me want to understand what's coming forward. Tom Bilyeu, he has a show, um, Impact Theory, and I love what he was saying when he was going out. He was going to seek out these people. He's like, hey, I'm going to start, an animation comic book series. And he was like, he wanted to find the people who have been successful in that area. And the first thing he asked them is, how can I expect to fail? And that, as an entrepreneur, is so important. You have to understand that failure is going to be part of your journey. But here's the thing: failure is an event, it is not a person. You are not a failure. It is just part of the process, it's a part of the journey. So, what I want you to do is continue to join me. And if this is something that you say, man, I need somebody to walk me through this, this middle stage of life, or I want to get better at this, I want you to message me. I want you to know that I am about to start opening up coaching and mentoring, and this may be something for you that will be beneficial. So, all that to say, make sure you go out and take advantage of this mindset of what's your self-talk. Take advantage of the information that I'm giving to you and understand how to process it. Replay it again. What's your self-talk is learning to grow past where you are right now. But you have to have new information. You have to be growth minded. You have to be positive about the outcomes that you can have, but you have to act on it. Okay? So thank you for watching. And you know that real important question I always ask you before I leave, and make sure you apply correctly and choose the right choice. Choose the right knowledge. Choose to grow over being fixed. Choose to be positive over being negative. You know that question. What's your self-talk? I'll see you next time.